Yeah, Joe Jack has gone through a profound change.
Wait till you see what happened
He's
to Joe
exactly the same. I mean, he's a lover of all people.
When we wrapped, all those years ago, was there a sense that this could ever happen? Did you realize sort of the love for this show at the time and that it could come back, or how does this feel?
Good writing is so rare, and we have such great writers, and the people who were fans of King of the Hill, I'm sure they liked the different characters and all that, but if I hadn't been in it and was just watching it, I'd watch it again because good writing is so rare.
I think I learned that you can never really count on anything for sure in show business until you've signed the contract. So I was hoping in the back of my mind, but as Pammy was saying, you believe it when you see it, and then when it became a reality, it was really thrilling.
We had been canceled once, I don't know how many, 3 seasons before it actually ended, canceled, everybody, writers all moved on, and then I guess someone in business affairs would always go, well, wait a second, why are we getting rid of this show? And then it came back, so we had an episode that was going to be the final episode that we recorded and wrote it and everything, and then when it came back, we kind of de-finalized it, made it not so final. So there's an episode that's got it's like, why is every single character in the whole run, why is it panning across all of them? And so then when it got canceled, what ended up being the final time then, even then I was like, well, is it going to come back again? Yeah, I always thought it could come back. We talked about a reboot, and they said no for a while. So it's been back and forth for a while, but I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the reboot has been talked about for years and years. Does the story, does the idea of how to bring it back, does that change as it gets delayed and kind of evolves in that sense?
I think since we were doing it for real, it's been the same. Like when we're working on the pilot, when we came up with the idea that Hank and Peggy went to Saudi Arabia for 10 years or something, and then come back, they have this kind of idyllic fake American city that's real over there at places like Aramco, and turns out Hank and Peggy kind of really liked that there, and Hank even liked that women are covered up and modest, and then so it just seemed like a good way to go for a reboot, that Hank comes back, and Hank and Peggy both have this almost culture shock to how much things have changed in however many years that is.
It's kind of the perfect way to drop into the old world through characters that you're familiar with who are new to the world that they're in. Yet it's still Arlen, it's still Hank and Peggy, and it's still this whole village. So it satisfies and scratches an itch you didn't even know that you had, but you always knew was there. I'm trying to go with the itch metaphor.
I was going to ask you right in the middle of my back.
I love how people are always asking us, we always wonder what Hank Hill would think about this present day thing. And just the fact that people are interested in what a character thinks about something today also gives you a good clue that it's good to revisit that, because you don't care about what a lot of people think about things, but when you find one that you do, it's a good sign.
Yeah, I think sometimes the appeal, or at least to keep animation on the air, it's like the characters don't age, right. So there's a sort of a thing there where they look the same. Having the characters grow up since we saw them last, did that add a challenge, or what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a lot, and especially the drawing, we went around and around and just tried a bunch of different ways, and we kept grabbing pictures of the internet or real life, this is what Bobby would look like now. But yeah, having Bobby and Connie older also seemed like something the fans were asking for without even knowing there was going to be a reboot, right, or anything. So it just seemed like the right thing to do, and we just kicked around a lot of ideas, and we just kind of knew when it felt right, I think. How
do you feel about where your characters are now? How do you feel that they've grown, and what is it like to kind of revisit their lives?
Peggy hasn't really grown. Okay. She doesn't think she needs to. I mean, I may be missing something, but she went to Saudi Arabia and she had a good time. She's glad to be home. She's still sort of not one thought, Peggy, but she believes in what she believes in, and she's not bothered by anything she thinks she should believe in. She just believes in what she believes in and has her day. And if you want to come along, great. But wait, am I wrong about Peggy?
I totally agree.
No,
I
you're
don't-
totally
like, they're-
right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's like a rock, you know. I think both our characters are too old to grow too much. I mean, no, I think it's kind of comforting to just see that they haven't changed much, you know.
I think I like about it that there's a certain kind of barometer that these people are, the whole town and these people are, for this idea of kind of an American, a middle kind of American. There's just this barometer that stays in the middle, and it's nice. So the show's not sentimental when it comes back. It's like returning to this sort of strange and wonderful barometer. You go, oh, he's back. Oh, yeah, she's back too. Oh, they're all back. Oh, this is where we are. Okay. So I think that was a nice way to see this town of Arlen and all these characters as this sort of barometer of America at the time.
I think the characters kind of reflect real life too, in that once you get past like 50, you start to not change so much and you become a bit set in your ways. So it makes sense to me that some of the older characters don't change a lot, but the younger characters do, because they're really still finding themselves. And so I'm really proud that Connie came from being sort of reserved and such a good girl and just doing everything that, you know, to finding her own voice, and, you know, she's getting a degree and all that, and just being more herself and more of a voice.
Yeah, Joe Jack has gone through a profound change.
Wait till you see what happened
He's
to Joe
exactly the same, honey. He's a lover of all people.
Obviously, you know, there have been some faces who aren't with us, and, you know, certainly even more recently, Jonathan and Chuck. And is doing the show, does it allow for a bit of a tribute to some of the people who aren't part of it anymore?
So Johnny is in the first 6. So, you know, we recorded this, and Jonathan is in a bunch of them, so the show is completely done before that. So, but yeah.
And obviously, Luann is such a part of fans' hearts, so I'm sure it was, you know, an emotional thing to not have her part of it.
Yeah, and, you know, I mean, back when we did the original run, there was a while where Brittany was becoming a big movie star and was just unavailable. And so we kind of got used to not having her. So there were a lot of episodes that, you know, that didn't have her in it.
We thought about the best way to honor, you know, the characters and the people behind the characters and what they meant to the show. And the analogy I've been using is, like, you know, as a sports fan, sometimes someone has, you know, done so much and means so much, the best thing you can do is to hang their jersey up in the rafters and retire their jersey number, right? And so for some of the characters, that felt like the best thing to do. With Johnny, who, like Mike said, we were able to do some episodes with, and Dale is such an important character, it was more important for us to keep that character as a part of the heart of the show, too. And so we were blessed enough to have Toby, who was a friend of Johnny's, who was able to basically step in and doing an homage to what Johnny created. And that felt like the best way to honor that character.
Especially since, I mean, we all used to imitate each other and imitate each other's, I think, like, me and Pam both did a pretty good Luann, and Toby does a good Johnny/Dale, and so it felt right, like keeping it in the family that way, I think.
And I know that Ronnie is joining the cast. What made him the right fit, and what was that process like to figure out how to change that voice?
I
You were
can
more
take this
involved
one.
that way.
Similar to the idea of, you know, what has changed, you know, since Hank and Peggy left. Some things about casting have changed as well. So we kind of wanted to make sure that, you know, the show's always been authentic. So we wanted to make sure that some of the casting would also, when we got a new opportunity to do it, be authentic as well. Ronnie was great. Ronnie grew up a fan of the show, you know. He tells a funny story that it was one of the few shows in Singapore, that American shows, that the government let them watch. Yeah, in terms of animated shows, you know, because in adult animation. And he said he thought King of the Hill, he didn't think it was a Texan show or a Southern show. He thought that's what America was. So, you know, he comes from a good perspective there too.
Does the show reflect our changing politics in other ways? I just saw your panel yesterday with South Park. I'm sure we're not going to get in that direction, but are there elements that are reflecting of our current time?
You know, that, like, if you're on Twitter and social media all day, you know, there's all these algorithms that are just meant to divide, and, like, you know, you get the most clicks when you piss the most people off, and that all that horribleness. And I think, you know, if you just, there's that term, you know, get feet on the grass. Like, if you get out away from that, people are different, and they're a little more accepting of each other and that kind of thing. And I think that's kind of more where the show lives. And so I don't know. It feels like we're not getting political or playing into any of that, really. I mean, Yeah, I love South Park, and you know what it's brilliant what they do. You know, we're a different kind of show, and so I think, you know, like you talk about the barometer of, you know, I think this show is somewhere in the middle, and the rest of the world moves
Right.
around so that the middle might be further one way or the other. But I think it's more just about, you know, kind of culture, the
Right.
culture and the, you know, of a small town.